Hello, I'm Michael Whitley, and this is my 2019 in the bag. So I'm going to start off with my putters. I just recently switched over from Wizards to Classic Soft Judges. These feel very similar to the Wizard for me, but I feel like the consistency between molds is a whole lot better than Gateway. For me, these are much easier to find, and you can pick up two and they feel exactly the same. But I pull out a chapter from AJ Risley's book, and I don't know these two putters apart. So, you know, when I'm on the course, I am constantly going between these two. That way, if I miss a putt, I know it's on me. It's not, well, that putter was used a little more. So for me, I try to keep these to where, you know, I don't really know the difference between the two of them. And once they get any big nicks or anything on them, I'll switch them over to my throwing putters and then get two new ones. Which takes me to my throwing putters. These are ones that I used to putt with. So they're all, I try to keep them all about the same. They're about 174 to 176s. They all feel pretty much exactly the same. And once I get nicks on my putting putters, I'll switch over to where these are my throwing ones, and then I'll either give these to somebody or sell them or whatever. So that's it for the judges. I'll move on to my maiden. So this is pretty much just an off the tee maiden. You know, I throw this when I need to go about 2 to 250, but I can release it with just a tiny bit of hyzer and get it to flip up and over just a little bit. But yeah, I have found that this is a very consistent disc. I got it, you know, this year once the Trilogy Challenge happened, and it has pretty much stayed in my bag ever since. I love this thing. Next is the harps. So I bag two harps. They're both the same weight. They're both BT mediums. I think they're both 174s. Yep. So this is my overstable approach shot. So if I'm trying to approach something that I need to go around a tree, or if I need something that'll really stick on the green, I definitely go to the harps. I love these things. This is my for sure go-to in that, you know, 75 to 150 foot range. So yeah, that's all of my putters. So I'll move on to my mid-ranges. So up next are my mid-ranges. I bag the most mid-ranges out of anything. For me, they're my bread and butter. I throw these about 250 to 350. So that's kind of where I stay at. I don't have a huge arm. So I like having multiple molds so I can kind of shape my shot. So I carry these from understable to overstable. So my understable are Mako 3s, Star Mako 3s. They're both, this one's a 174 and this one's a 180. So these are my turnover in the wood shots. I don't have a forehand, so I ended up shaping these a lot, but I can put them on an anhyzer angle and it'll pretty much hold that and just finish at that angle. I love these things. This is honestly the only thing that I can't get away from Innova. Everything else has kind of been replaced with something, but I love these things. I don't know if I can replace these anytime soon. But next are my slings, and these are my, you know, straight arrow golf shots. I love these things, especially tunnel shots, anything in the wood that's not super far. These are my for sure go-tos. I love them. I think they're both max weights, and even when you beat these in, you're really not changing the flight of the disc. they'll beat into where, you know, you throw them with a little more hyzer and they just kind of ride up and stay there, and they're very forgiving. You can, you know, kind of release these at a bad angle and somehow they're just going to find their way and flatten up. I love them. They are amazing. So if you don't have one, definitely get one. Up next are my bards. These are very similar to Rock 3s if you haven't thrown one. They feel very similar. They have the bead. And their flights honestly are very similar. So these are, you know, your typical rock shots, anything that you would throw your, you know, Rock 3 on. That's basically what you're throwing these on. My last mold is the Anvil from Westside, and this thing is beefy for sure. You can release this on a straight Anheuser angle and it's going to instantly come out of your hand and just dump. It's awesome when you need that. Me personally, I can't get this thing over like 200 feet. The most I can probably throw this is 175. But when you need that shot, when you need something to go high and you want it to come straight down, these are awesome for that. So yeah, that's all my mids. Next I'll move on to my fairway drivers. I personally only bag 2 molds of fairway drivers. I have my understable / roller, which is the Underworld, and I couldn't throw a backhand roller until I got this disc. You know, you can release it on a pretty flat angle and it'll find its way up and just hold this awesome roller line for a very long time. So this is a pretty recent addition to the bag, but I love these things. Next is the Stag, and I've thrown these just about since the beginning. I carry these in 3 different conditions of wear. So this is my most understable / oldest. I can release this pretty flat and it's gonna turn itself over. My most stable one I can release on a little bit of hyzer and it'll come up and pretty much just finish flat. And the third is definitely the most overstable. This acts more like a distance driver than the others. So I can release this on a little bit of hyzer and it'll come up almost flat and then find its way back down. So last but not least are my distance drivers. I don't have a huge arm, so I don't carry a whole lot of distance drivers. My main go-tos are Sorcerers from Westside. This one is more beat in than this one, but I keep both of them because of wind conditions. If I'm throwing into more of a headwind, I definitely throw my overstable version. But they both for me pretty much follow the same lines. I can throw this one on quite a bit of hyzer and it'll come up and kind of do an S-curve and come back, finishing pretty flat. This one will do the same, but it'll finish a lot harder than the other one. So those are my Sorcerers. The Sword is a more overstable version of the Sorcerer for me. I can throw it on that same angle, but it is not gonna do the S-curve at all. It's gonna just come up to flat and finish pretty hard. So if wind conditions build up, I definitely go to the Sword. The Giant is my next distance driver. I can't get a lot of distance on it, but I keep it just for angles. If I need something to just crash pretty hard, it's kind of like the distance driver version of my Anvil. I can't get it very far, but I'm very glad I have it when I need it. So that's my in the bag. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.